As humans, we are all a natural fan of tales that have consistent crests and troughs. Gen 13 is one such series where the excitement for the readers never stops. From action, thriller, humor, science fiction to an interesting exploration of teenage issues, the series boasts of it all. First published in 1994, the series proved to be a smash hit because of how well-crafted the characters were. Penned carefully by writers Jim Lee and Brandon Choi, the characters get etched into the readers' minds because of how humane yet different they are from us. The quirks of Fairchild, Lynch, Breakdown, Burnout, Freefall, Ditto, Grunge, Rainmaker, Hardbody, Runt, and Windsprint echo with each one of our teenage selves, making these characters an integral part of that unsatiated teenage dream. But what are the specificities that we enjoy about these nuanced characters? Is it their super interesting teenage life, the action-packed circumstances they consistently find themselves in, their superpowers, or simply the fact that each one of their quirks is similar to what we have? Let's take a microscopic look into what makes each of the Gen 13 characters click. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Alex Fairchild, an iconoclast at core. Alex escaped the Corn Belt and decided to pave his way into the world in his own unique way. This Iowa farm boy hated bureaucracy and so decided to serve the Army. But before his career in the Army could take off, his lust took over the curve of his life. He slept with the general's wife, and before anything tangible could be constructed out of his decision, his career in the regular Army was cut short. However, he was welcomed by the Green Berets and became their most reliable soldier. Alex was noticed by the sharp government agent John Lynch, who was asked to assemble the Team 7 led by Miles Craven. Alex was exposed to the Gen Factor, after which he accomplished several missions by Craven. After Team 7 was abolished, Alex joined the Renegade Team 7 and developed a special bond with a pirate called Lucius. During this time frame, Alex also reunited with his daughter Caitlin, and he continued to be associated with Gen 13 and ended up sacrificing his life to save them from the impactful actions of a mad scientist. As readers, when we observe the character of Alex, we see him change from a young man with a maverick-like spirit to someone whose core being sings out loud when he engages in some or the other form of sacrificial act, be it enlisting in the Army or saving the Gen 13 from a lunatic scientist. The real layer beneath that thrill-seeking adventure is that of a protector who wishes to work for the greater good. The fact that Alex's innate powers multiply exponentially on connecting with the other members of Team 7 also bear testimony to the fact that his real power is in standing up for others via a fulfilling sense of connectivity. Alex Fairchild's list of superpowers include telepathy, clairsentience, mind control, memory erasing, mental shields, and rapid cellular generations. The readers might notice that all his abilities have a healer-type dimension to it. It seems as if these powers were activated in order for him to protect the others. Even his physical prowesses, like hand-to-hand combat, espionage, diving, weaponry, demolitions, etc., complement his ability to protect and to stand for the others. Alex Fairchild remains etched in our memories, not for what he seems to be, but for what reveals later of him. John Lynch. This logical mastermind with a heart began his journey as the head of the Black Ops project Thunderbook and was hired by the international operations years after the members of the Thunderbook split up. When you objectively look at the character graph of John Lynch, he seems to be this analytical wizard who achieves his goal through perfection by following the exact orders of his superiors, but the revelations have a different story to tell. Lynch is hired by the international operations to track down the past members of the Thunderbook project who had started to incline towards their darker sides, posing a threat to the society at large. On understanding that most of them have children, Lynch's goal becomes articulated towards protecting the children from misguidance and the eventual misusage of their powers. John's concerns for the succeeding generation and his commitment toward erasing the threats makes him a leader who has a strong head on his shoulders, but not without a heart. Thus, with tactical and leadership skills, this John has a firearm who uses his prowess to burn the unnecessary. Breakdown. Holly, also referred to as Breakdown, is the character who creates through destruction. Her superpowers truly define the parameters of her character. Molecular assembly gives her the power to deconstruct even the tiniest of molecules in the air. Fatal Touch bestows her with the ability to dissect the atomic binding of inorganic and organic materials. Molecular deceleration enables her to slow both objects and organisms down. Holly can move freely through intangible objects without being impacted by them. She can run or fly at exceptionally high speeds. All these abilities make Holly, aka Breakdown, as the one who destructs to create, thus making way for the new. Brought to life by tabula rasa, Holly is a 14th generation superpower being who was created to procreate and bring to life Gen 13. But after Rasa's facilities were destroyed by Armageddon and the remnants taken by the United States government, Holly and her other teammates were cloned several times as a source of combat simulation. Her 43rd clone was sent on a solo journey to contact Gen 13, where she encountered Fairchild and consequently also became an indispensable part of the team. Later, when the Warhol virus infected Fairchild, she managed to erase the infection through her abilities and in the process was inflicted with several wounds. While this was happening to the 43rd clone of Breakdown, one of her clones, back in the tabula rasa, smiled, reminiscing and holding on to the memories of her making an impact on others' lives. Bobby Lane, Burnout. Burnout is that ideal gray shade character that ultimately turns out to be on the whiter side. Born to John Lynch, Bobby's mother decided to leave the family when he was very young. To safeguard Bobby from the workings of the international operations and Team 7, led by his father John Lynch, the Team 7 members created a fake identity for Bobby to put him up for adoption. But Bobby failed to fit in with any of the foster families, making him change his personal surroundings every now and then. On reaching his teen years, the I.O. started conducting screenings all across the globe to filter out the successors of Gen 12. The aim was to restart Project Genesis, which would conduct the Gen 12 experiments. On being screened as Gen positive, Bobby was brought on board for the Gen 13 project. There he met the others, Caitlin, Roxy, and others who were also recruited for the same. However, as the end goal of the project was to numb their successes by drugging them and to just use their superpowers for the organization's benefit, the revelation made Caitlin, Roxy, Bobby, and Grungy escape. They were later joined by Sarah and Threshold. The twist in the plot was Bobby remaining loyal to the I.O. because his mission was to evoke the latent powers of Grungy and Threshold. Bobby's plan of creating that killer instinct in all succeeded, and all were captured. Fairchild had managed to escape and brought the group back together. This time they allied with John Lynch, who takes the group to San Diego to safeguard them from the I.O. There, Bobby explores his emotional dimensions as an individual as multitude happenings unfold before him. It slowly comes to revelation that John Lynch is his father, and his romantic feelings for Sarah also evolve. These emotional bonds make Bobby super loyal to the group that makes him safeguard them not only from the I.O. troops but also from bloodthirsty monsters. In one of the battles, Bobby's telepathic powers are destroyed, but it's almost as though through every upheaval or major episode of his life, he tends to resurrect. In the later battles, Burnout gets fatally injured in many ways, but his aim is always to protect the team he is part of. Like fire, he tends to purge everything out of his way. Hence, most of his powers center around destruction. Some of them include fire blasts, fire shield, flight, radiation production, heat generation. Thus, Burnout burns through the realms and stays. Freefall. Do you remember that argumentative young girl from Gen 13 who has a Valley Girl accent? That very girl you recollect is Roxanne Roxy Spaulding, aka Freefall. As flashes of her school life come to the forefront, where she is referred to as the trailer trash, where her friends made innuendos about the fact that even though she was raised Catholic, she had had a lapsed Catholic upbringing. Roxy was born out of an affair between Alex Fairchild and Gloria Spaulding when Fairchild was stationed as an Army officer at San Antonio, Texas. Alex was exposed to the Gen Factor, which stimulated superpower abilities in individuals. He was also a Team 7 member, wherein it was suspected that their powers were transmuted to the next generation. Like other members, Caitlin, Grungy, Burnout, Roxy too was recruited, but on learning about Project Genesis, she too escaped to San Diego, where they encountered aliens, and eventually she learned to interact and pet them. Freefall was one of the youngest members of the Gen 13 and had the ability to manipulate gravity. The emotional makeup of the character builds when during her time at Gen 13, she learns that Alex Fairchild is her father, and the woman posing to be her foster mother is actually her mother. She also develops a strong infatuation for grunge and is psychologically in every aspect like a young, raging teenager. She loves sneaking out into the night, exploring new stuff, J-pop music, and is simply into plunging things. But this same character goes through a mammoth transformation post the happenings of Captain Atom, Armageddon. She is brought up in a verbally and emotionally abusive family where her character receives a more mature tinge. She's also the first one to see Earth come to an end while she helps her teammates to come to terms with it. Freefall is that free spirit that soars in our hearts because of the multiple dimensions her character embodies. Ditto. Like Holly, Ditto was used as a means to bring Gen 13 into existence. After the Tabula Rasa facilities were taken over by the United States, Ditto was repeatedly cloned for target practice. When Colonel Darling was defeated, she and Runt joined Gen 13. Ditto, as her name suggests, had the ability to multiply an infinite number of times. She is probably one of the most limited of the lot, but her ability to multiply multiple times helps in creating an illusion for the enemy that is mentally super challenging and hard to get past. Grunge. When a Casanova-like person turns into Mr. Dependable, the plot takes a whole new level. This level was achieved due to this much-loved character, Grunge. Percival Edmond was that typical American slacker who was unaware of his unique history and his brave father's sacrifice. Philip Chang was also one of the members of Team 7 who safeguarded his son by sending him into hiding. Thus, Percival was born in Hong Kong but brought up in Seattle. He too was recruited for Project Genesis by the International Operations. Grunge escaped with the other team members following the revelations of IO's malicious activities. Grunge is shown as that free spirit who has the ability to charm multiple women. But despite dating 3 superwomen at the same time, he shows his commitment by being super dependable in the face of various atrocities that the team faces. He is also a surfer who rides the whimsical waves like he rides challenges in real life. After the world storm, a clearer light on this character's growing up years shows that he was that nerdy adolescent who chose to let go of his old self like a phoenix does. Full of integrity, Grunge, while protecting the Earth in the battle against the extraterrestrial beings, decided to stay back and join hands with the Wildcats to repair the planet Earth. During this time, he also acquired the attributes of electrical beings after coming in contact with the number of the beast. His highlighted superpowers include absorbing replication or to bond with anything that he comes in contact with to take their molecular integration, superhuman strength, superhuman durability, metamorphosis, molecular reconstruction, and phasing. These attributes throw light on Grungy's ability to connect, to transform, and to endure multiple circumstances. Rainmaker. Sarah Rainmaker has a one-of-a-kind spot in the Gen 13 universe. When she first manifested her powers at San Carlos Reservation, Arizona, she came under Ivana Ba'ul's radar and her keepers. To resist being a captive, she goes into the desert, where she meets Ripclaw of Cyberforce and Apache, who deems to protect her. Even though Ripclaw was able to defeat the Keepers, Sarah was captured and taken in by the International Operations, where she met her future teammates. Her powers include weather control, aerokinesis, wherein she is able to manipulate the direction and the intensity of the wind, hydrokinesis, flight electrokinesis, and electroblast. Sarah is also quite acrobatic and is able to meander between the earthly and the spiritual realms. Her connection with natural energies such as air, water, and electricity make her a mediator of sorts between the worlds. This fact becomes more prominent when Sarah enters the spirit world with the help of the other members to fight William Greywind, Sarah's mother's ex-husband. She enlisted the spirits of Geronimo, Crazy Horse, and Lozin, through which she was able to bring out her spiritual abilities. As someone who is connected to both the spirit and the earthly realms, there exists a bifurcation in her personality. Hardbody. With a literal bulletproof skin, augmented strength, augmented stamina, Lance Wielder is very rightly referred to as Hardbody. He belonged to the 14th generation superpower beings who were cloned several times to breed the Gen 13. Initially, he fought against them, but later defected to the Gen 13 team. Runt. When Tabula Rasa's facilities were destroyed after the Armageddon, and Colonel Darling's army also stood defeated, Guillermo's, along with Ditto, joined the Gen 13. Previously used as breeding stock for the next superpower generation, Guillermo's decided to not just be used as a source for repeated cloning and devoted himself to a more active cause. Guillermo's power lies in how full of integrity his core being is. When he and his friends received the authority call in London, he had a chance to leave Earth. But instead, he stayed and decided to protect Earth in the battle against the Knights of Kira. He could expand into gargantuan size and hence was able to bring massive strength to any team he was part of. Wind Sprint. Like the other 14th generation superpower beings, Shakira Johnson was created as a source to breed the upcoming generation of Gen 13. But when Tabula Rasa's facilities were destroyed, she joined the Gen 13 and switched over to utilizing her abilities for a better cause. Bestowed with the ability of Ultra Velocity, Shakira Johnson very rightfully took up the name of Wind Sprint. The characters of Gen 13 are constantly evolving and changing in ways that are unprecedented yet so moving. This is a delightful universe where the innate abilities of the characters are the natural source to their superhuman capabilities. With a microcosm viewpoint of the world, Gen 13 creates a picture that is wildly multifaceted and beyond good or evil, as all the characters are consistently confronting the question, who am I, through situations that are paranormal, yet so humane at the same time. Hence, they continue to linger on our minds. And if you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.